blades and hammer skins. You wear my nuts on your Nazi chins. I look good in uniform.
My name is Dr. Edward Avery-Natale. I'm a professor of sociology, and this is part 4 in an ongoing series about the nature of fascism. The purpose of this series is to educate the viewer about what fascism is so that they might better oppose it. This video covers the glorification of violence. If you're looking for the earlier videos, you can find most of them on my page except for part 1, which was banned from TikTok. When people think of fascism, they commonly think of Nazi Germany. And when they think of Nazi Germany, they think only of the Holocaust. It is imperative, though, that you remember that the violence did not begin in the concentration camps. What we remember as the Holocaust was called the final solution because it was the final solution that the Nazis tried. It's important that you remember that before that there was the labeling of Jews, the loss of German citizenship for Jews, and the attempted deportation of Jews. Not to mention the propaganda against Jews ultimately resulting in Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass, when German Aryan citizens attacked Jewish businesses, homes, and so forth. In other words, the violence of Nazi Germany did not originate in the concentration camps. Technically, it didn't even originate in the government. The violence of fascism begins in rallies and on the streets. This violence of the citizens is officially unsanctioned, yet it is unofficially sanctioned. It can be this acceptance of everyday violence that can slowly build up to the violence of genocide. The fascists will not only accept this violence, they will glorify it. Hitler, for example, believed that the nation was reborn through the blood of its citizens. This initial violence, as well as the violence of war, is understood here as a struggle for the nation itself. Hitler's ideology was especially bound up with this idea, as he claimed that Jews had escaped the supposedly glorious sacrifice for the nation in World War I and would not escape their sacrifice again. This, of course, was false. Jews had, in fact, fought in World War I, but the idea that Jews had not died for the nation in World War I was central to Hitler's argument for genocide. This only becomes possible because the emotions associated with violence at those early rallies and in the street become, under fascism, an official doctrine that can, especially when linked with racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, transphobia, and so on, other kinds of ideologies of exclusion and othering, result in the eventual violence of the state against those who have already been excluded from the moral bounds of the state. In other words, the official violence of state-sanctioned genocide only becomes possible after the street violence is normalized and after exclusion is normalized. The fascist then glorifies this violence. They convince the average citizen that this violence is not only necessary, but valuable and important, and the rebirth of the nation. At its most successful, the average citizen will feel the immortality of the nation in themselves through the charisma of the leader and the glory of the violence. As such, they will be willing to kill and die for fascism, for the leader. Finally, you must remember that it is not only the zealot, the obvious anti-Semite, the obvious hateful person who can fall victim to this kind of violence. The power in Nazi Germany came from the fact that they did not require ideological zealotry in order to enact genocide. All that was required was the compliance of the average person and the willingness to turn the other way.